Keep my stroke game so consistent, there's no delay. I give it so damn awesome, call it instant replay. I go so hard and so damn long, it's like a relay.
Good evening, kings and queens, and thank you for tuning into my podcast show, Pandora's Room Radio. I am your host, China Simone, and in tonight's episode, we're going to discuss controlling relationships, or rather being in a controlling relationship. But I would like to start off by saying that if you feel you are in any immediate danger, please dial 911. We're going to start off with learning to how to identify a abusive or controlling relationship. How do you identify? How do you know that your relationship is controlling or abusive? You got to know the definition of an abusive relationship for starters. In an abusive relationship, it describes a relationship where one person is consistently and constantly uses tactics to psychologically, physically, financially, emotionally, and sexually control and have power of another. Relationships surrounding those are relationships that are basically controlling and abusive, and you should get out immediately. You have to recognize the characteristics of an abuser, and everyone is different. Some people choose to mentally control you, and others physically controlling you. But physical abusive partners tend to have certain characteristics that contribute to the cycle of violence and control. An abuser might have the long, slow list of characteristics: emotionally intense and codependent. They could be very charming, popular, maybe even talented. And what that means is if you find yourself running into someone who's a catch to almost everyone, behind closed doors, they turn into something totally different. I've been there before. In the public eye, they are everything to someone. Somewhere they're fantasizing about them. But it is your relationship that you're in with this person, and behind closed doors, they can turn into a monster. They may be alcoholics, they may be drug abusers, but those are the people that you tend to usually find being the ones in excessively abusive relationships. It'll be the ones that you least expect. The good-looking charmers, doesn't matter if it's man or woman, because this here isn't gender specific. We all have run into someone of the opposite sex that can be very hands-on and aggressive, maybe too aggressive. So knowing to identify those things, those characteristics, is very important in saving your own life or even being able to save the life of another. Does this person bottle up their emotions? Are they inflexible, judgmental on the things that you do, say, think, and or wear? If you go out with your friends on a Friday night, are they telling you what time to be back home and what to wear or what you shouldn't wear or what smell, cologne, perfume you shouldn't have on? 9 chances out of 10 you're being controlled. Because we should be in a relationship where we trust one another and we're giving our significant other the confidence when they step out. You smell great. You look fantastic. Those are things that we want to hear, right? But that's not always the case. Right now, we have to know when to walk away, how to walk away. Will you be okay? If you walk away, don't think that you have to stay in that type of situation. You have to learn to arm yourself with the information on what control and abuse is. Do you have a get out code, a sign or something to tell you when to leave? Because before the first strike is taken, before the first hospital visit, what is your sign? Is it the raising of the tone? The inability to calm that person down when they're angry? Do they get absolutely trashed and come home and talk trash to you? If so, it's time to leave. It's time to be happy. Release yourself from that person's grasp and get out now. I have been there. I'm sure that was long ago, where I was young. I had someone who I thought was important in my life, but of course, being the age that I was at that time, how would I know what true love really was? I was still in high school. And this person leaped off of his bed. I've never seen anything like that, but he leaped off of his bed, and I fell to the ground, and he landed with his knees in the palms of my hands, and because I said that I was leaving, he wrapped his hands around my throat. When I got up, I was afraid to leave because he would not let me go. And once I finally left and I got away, I had a family member who would still bring them around because they lived nearby. I couldn't escape. They were helping them to find me. And then when I got away for good, I found myself in another situation where I almost lost my life again, and not just my life, but the life of my unborn child. And I was attacked and physically hit. I had a bruise so big, I was afraid to tell my father, whom at that time I was living with. And I'll never forget, it was hot. It was a hot summer's day in 2005. And I had to be 8 months pregnant. And this person got mad at me for something that I did not do at all. He assumed that I was sleeping with my best friend, and I wasn't. I don't even know where the thought even came from, but he did. He assumed that I was sleeping with them. And he hit me. He hit me in my left thigh, to the point where by the time the next morning came, I had a bruise on my thigh the size of a cantaloupe from such a small person. And the reaction after the hit was him climbing on top of me and grabbing a 12-inch kitchen blade and had it over my stomach. And again, I was 8 months pregnant. But this was someone that I thought who loved me, who cared about me. All of these things I thought. And I stayed quiet about that situation for a while. But understand that you don't have to put up with that. Understand that you are much stronger than that. You are better than that. You are better than your circumstances. You just have to believe that you have the will, the power to get up and leave. In this next clip, we're going to discuss when to walk away. I want to know, do you really know when to walk away? I want you all to take some time to respond to that. And I want you to find us on Facebook, find us on Instagram under Pandora's Room. And that's for each platform. And I want you to tell me if you know when you are to walk away. Because some of us believe it's after the first strike. No, it's long before then, because those signs will be there. So tell me, are you in a controlling relationship? I want you to tell me if you know when you're supposed to walk away, and please let me remind you that this is not gender specific. This goes for man and woman. Doesn't matter if you're married, if you're dating. Hell, this could even be for family. Because sometimes we have to walk away from them too. I mean, love them from a distance, but walk away. You don't have to stick around to be belittled, trashed, degraded. You don't have to stick around for that. And we're going to take a break. And when I come back, we're going to jump right into discussing when we should walk away. Again, let me thank you for tuning into this podcast, the Pandora's Room Radio. And I am your host, China Simone. We'll be back. And we're back. We're going to jump right into discussing when to walk away from these infectious, disease-infested relationships that no one should ever have to deal with. But of course, we go through. But when do you walk away? Now, I hope everyone got a chance to find us on social media, Instagram, and Facebook. We're also on YouTube as well. You'll be able to find this there. But I hope you all were able to chime in and let me know when you think or when you know it's time to walk away. And that time to walk away, well, I mean for me, that time to walk away should have been at the first sign of the cheating. It also should have been at the first argument where they jumped in my face. But I want to know, what's your choice? What are your views? When do you see yourself walking away? Because if you are one of those people that I mentioned before, honey, it is time to walk away. Don't wait until the ambulance needs to be called or the police needs to be called. Don't wait until you start having a family and you bring children into the relationship. Don't wait until those moments. Get out now. There's no reason to wait. You deserve to be with someone who will cherish the ground you walk on. Someone that when you wake up in the morning, you can roll over and look at them and smile, because they bring you that sort of peace, that sort of joy. Someone who will pray for you, pray with you, meditate, do all those things with you. Someone that when you look at them, you can't imagine your life without them. But statistically, let's go and discuss these numbers briefly. Let's look at these numbers and go over that. Let's be honest with ourselves. So, they say 25 to 30% of women, they experience some sort of domestic violence. But what's more disturbing is they included only women, as if only women go through this. It's not just women, it's men too. Men can be abused just as much as a woman can. And we all should know when the door needs to open and when we should be able to cross that threshold to just get the freedom that we all deserve. Why stay somewhere where we are not being nurtured the way that we should be? And I mean, if you don't know that, then maybe, just maybe, it's not just the person that you're with that needs the help. Maybe it's you too. Maybe it's something that runs deeper, that you don't even understand yet, that you can't even get. And you know, that's not an attack on your character. That's just reality. Someone had to share that with me, because I was so adamant on holding on to relationships that were toxic. You know, I dated someone for almost 2 years and I was almost adamant on not letting them go because everybody wanted him. Everybody wanted a piece of him. And I couldn't, for the life of me, really be upset because I knew what he looked like. I was looking at him every day. But you know, everything that glitters ain't gold. And sometimes you have to cry your tears, but don't cry sitting down. You shed those tears standing up. And you shed those tears standing up while you're packing your bag. Because, honey, to psych yourself out and to turn around and say, I'll give them another chance. Notice I didn't say which gender, I said them. Because it goes both ways. Don't psych yourself out and look up and notice that you're ready to unpack, dump all of your belongings back out, because what you'll find is that you're giving that person another opportunity, another day, another chance to rip another piece of you and take you in a way that you know you don't even want to be taken. And every time they touch you, your skin will crawl. You'll grit your teeth. That right there within itself should be a sign, right? Some of us, a lot of us, will ignore those signs. Why is that? Why do we ignore the signs when they're right there in our faces? Because we're so eager to be loved. We're so eager to be wanted by someone other than ourselves. But you know what I've discovered in my time of being alone? Hell, I like me. I like me a lot. Yeah. Because you'll stay in a relationship for so long that is so poisonous to your soul that once you enter one that's perfect for you, you'll find yourself doing everything in your powers to destroy it. Even after you've sat and prayed about it, prayed for someone that'll come along, that'll cherish you and look at you as if you were the only one in the room. You'll do things that will destroy it, or even try to. I was that girl. I've been there before, too. I've put up with so much bitter and angry moments and past relationships that when I finally found that person that I dreamt about, prayed about, craved, I could smell him even before I met him. I tried to do everything in my powers to walk away because I felt like I wasn't worthy enough to be loved the way that he was willing and ready to love me. And we were both coming from tumultuous situations. We both needed to be saved, but you ask him, he'll say, I saved him. But really, he saved me. He saved me from myself. And I tried everything in my powers to push him away because I felt like he deserved better than what I could give him. See, I was broken. I was battered. I was bruised emotionally. And we take baggage from prior relationships. And we tend to empty that baggage out on the laps of the ones who we come into contact next. But I woke up one day and I looked at myself and I said, you have everything that you have ever wanted, that you've ever prayed for, right before you. And you're going to mess that up? For what? For what? Because of what your friends thought? Nah, I wasn't that dumb. So you know what I did? I got my shit together. And before I knew it, I became the missus. Until this day, almost 11 years later, I'm still crazy, madly in love with my best friend. And see, he's exactly what I needed. Someone who would push me, tell me when I was wrong or when I was out of line about something, and didn't do it in a possessive or aggressive type of way. He showed me the affection that I needed because, of course, in the beginning I was afraid to receive that. See, I spent all this time wondering when I should walk away from those who wronged me, and I was almost willing to walk away from the one who was coating my path with gold, because that I have now, that glitters, and it's damn sure gold. So I hope that everything that you're going through, if you're listening, if you're out there and you're hearing what I'm saying to you, there's a light at the end of that tunnel, and you're going to make it. You just have to, believe it. And know that you're worthy of something so much more than what you're getting right now, because the hand that lays upon your face and not in a loving way is not the hand that you should be under. No matter how many gifts, hugs, no matter how they call themselves making love to you, it is not worth it. You're better than that. So know it. Identify when you need to walk away. Because again, it's before they lay their hands on you. It's before the first 911 call. It's before the first hospital visit. Identify that. Put that down. And get out. When we come back, we're going to discuss being okay with walking away. We're going to talk about numbers to call in case you don't know. Because sometimes we can't even call on family, right? Not at all. Sometimes we can't call on family. So don't touch that dial. Don't change the station. Don't close the page. Because when we come back, again, we're going to be discussing being okay with walking away. Stay tuned. And we're back. Our last set of questions, or our last question for this night will be, will you be okay with walking away? Will you? That's another question, and I kind of want you to take time out to go to the pages, hit us up on YouTube at Pandora's Room Radio, Instagram at Pandora's Room, Facebook at Pandora's Room, and I want you to tell us, will you be okay walking away? And before you start to question whether or not you will be, before you say no, you won't be because you're nothing without that person, well, honey, let me tell you, you're everything without that person. You're more than what you give yourself credit for. When you walk away, you'll start finding you again. You'll start finding that smile that you once had before that person came along, because 90% of us, when we enter into these relationships that we think is going to be our last stop, and it turns out not to be because of what they're putting us through, we go into that relationship with a smile so bright you can light up the world. And then once they've taken their sweet, precious time, tearing you down and telling you all the things that someone else won't like about you, won't love about you, won't find attractive about you. Let it be your haircut, the way your hair flows, the way your hair shines. If you got an afro, if your smile is a little bit crooked, well, baby, let me tell you. The way your hair flows, your afro, that crooked smile, it's still beautiful, honey. No matter whether you are man or woman, you are still beautiful. So appreciate you. You have exactly all that you need. And while you're sitting and you're praying for someone, anyone to come and save you, you have to save yourself. Save yourself first by getting up from them continuously beating you down. Stand up, dust yourself off, even if you have to wait until they are asleep. But you better haul ass out that door. You don't have to take anything because you don't carry the baggage with you from the last troublesome issues. You leave it and you start fresh, you start over, you start new. So yeah, you'll be okay. I know you will. And if no one else told you how strong you really are, well, let me be the first. You are strong. You are confident. You are amazing. And being okay with walking away is exactly what you are going to be. That person doesn't deserve you. And once you have broken the chain and you've actually gotten away, oh my goodness, can you imagine? You're going to get free, be able to spread your wings. You're going to look up and the sun is going to look a little differently than it did before. There won't be a gray cloud in the sky. Hell, you'll be able to live the way that you thought you wouldn't be able to. Baby, you'll walk away hurting, broken, all of those things. But let me remind you that while you're thinking that you will not live or you cannot live without that person, I promise you, you will. Then I'll hear from you 3 months, 6 months down the line, and you're going to be telling me how you've found yourself, how you're so happy about everything that you're doing in the world, and I'm going to look at you that day. And I'm going to remind you of that very conversation, that very post, that comment where you said that you couldn't live without that person. And honey, well, look at you living, doing your thing, living your best life, right? Well, that's all for tonight. stay tuned for our next episode on Freaky Friday, where we're going to get into sex toys in the bedroom. But before we leave, before we close, I want to give you a little something. A closing quote. And we're going to try to do this after every episode. Little motivation for each and every one of us, including myself. But tonight, this one is for anybody who's going through in these relationships. Having the courage and the strength to walk away, that gives us the option and a desire to smile another day. That is all for me. Again, I am your host, China Simone, and I hope to hear from you soon. We love you, but most importantly, love yourself more. Good night.